All right, good morning, anyone, everyone, whoever's watching, hello. This is Professor Grenfell's Math 12 statistics class for Riverside City College. And we are continuing on today with another example of the F-test to compare two standard deviations or two variances. And so we're going to be taking a look at example 9-15. This is located on page 532. This is example 9-15 on the theme of grade point averages. And it says here, a researcher selected a random sample of 10 psychology graduates and found the standard deviation of their grade point average was 0.72. Then she selected a random sample of 14 engineering students and found that the standard deviation of their grade point averages was 0.51. At alpha equals 0.01, can we conclude the variance of the GPA grade point averages for the psychology graduates is greater than the variance of the GPA averages for the engineering graduates? Okay, so here is the information, and we are again given the larger variance first and the smaller variance second. So this is good for us because we don't have to mess around with the subscripts. We can just say it's this one divided by this one. The one thing that we do have to notice is we do not have s squared. We have s, not s squared. So we'll have to remember to square these values when we go to compute the test statistic. Also, they're asking us to test a claim about the variance rather than the standard deviation. This is okay because if we have one standard deviation that's greater than another, when we square this one and we square this one, we'll still have that same relationship. So we can compare variances or standard deviations. We just have to remember if we have a standard deviation, we have to raise it up to the second power in order to compute our test statistic. All right, the first thing we're going to do is state the hypotheses. So H subscript 0 is that the two variances for the populations are exactly the same. Sigma 1 squared is equal to sigma 2 squared. H subscript 1 is that what she suspects that the psychology students' graduate GPA's variance is greater than that of the engineering graduates. So here we're going to say sigma 1 squared is greater than sigma 2 squared. Okay. So it is going to be a single-tailed test. It's going to be a right-tailed test. When we go to find the critical values and sketch the critical region, we'll just do it like this, just quickly. All right, this is a F distribution, not a chi-squared distribution. Just have to remember that. And this is going to be a right-tailed test with alpha equals 0.01. So that right side area is 0.01. So F subscript alpha, we're going to go ahead and look this up. All right, we have alpha equals 0.01. This means we're going to be looking on page 784. We're using 9 degrees of freedom for the numerator and 13 degrees of freedom for the denominator. Therefore, the critical F value is 4.19. And let's flip the page. Okay, step number 3, we're going to compute the test statistic. So the F value is the variance, the larger variance, so I'll say S squared subscript big, divided by the smaller variance, so I'll say S squared subscript SM for small. And here we have to remember, like I had said, that we were given not the variances, but the standard deviations. So here, oh, shoot, we have 0.72. We have to remember to square that. I said it exactly the wrong way. We were given the standard deviations, S, and we need variance, so we need S squared. So that means we have to square these values. So we have 0.72, whole thing squared, divided by 0.51, that whole thing squared, and plugging these in with a calculator, that works out as 1.99. All right, let's take a peek back and see where that was. Let's see, that's purple. We'll scroll on back to the previous page and notice 1.99 is right here. Okay, so notice that this is not in the rejection region. So don't reject H subscript 0. And then step 5 will summarize. And so we can summarize the results as follows. We did not reject H subscript 0, so we're going to say, well, the evidence did not point to, and then whatever we said for the alternative hypothesis, H subscript 1. So we did not throw away the null hypothesis, and so that is essentially what we're going to settle with. We're going to say there's not enough evidence to show that the psychology grad's GPA variance was higher than the engineering grad's GPA variance. Okay, so statistically speaking, this is just due to sampling error, and these are within acceptable ranges of one another to say that there's no difference between these two populations, the psychology grads and the engineering grads, their GPAs and the way that they're distributed in terms of their variance. All right, so we'll discuss the p-value method next.